Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. It is Monday. Now, your usual Monday hosts are Tony and Ryan. They'll be back tomorrow. I am your host on this fine Monday morning, John McGinley here, and joined by Euan Davidson. Euan, how are you doing today? How's your week beginning? Are you feeling positive and refreshed for the challenges ahead?
I'm just a positive person, John. I'm a happy chappy at the best of times and the worst. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Did you watch the Super Bowl last night?
Yes, so apologies. My brain's lagging this morning, everyone. I was up half the night watching the Super Bowl. I am a Seattle Seahawks fan. It did go very well for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm a very happy man this morning. I was watching it live and I watched all the reaction after and the press conferences. So I've been up very late all night. I did manage to get a few hours sleep, so I'm not doing too badly. And of course,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, Ian, Celtic are my sporting passion, of course.
Of
Lifelong
course.
sporting passion. Always loved them.
Mhm.
They're my main event. Think about them constantly, daily. But when you do it for a job, Ian, you need another avenue to kind of vent your sporting frustrations. And for a number of years, Seattle Seahawks have been that team for me. And
Mhm.
late into the night for many years, I've watched every minute of every Seattle Seahawks match. So last night
Fair
was the
play.
culmination of a few years hard earned work watching that American football team, and I'm very delighted. Are you a fan of the NFL yourself?
I'm a basketball guy.
Okay.
Detroit Pistons. I've liked the NBA for a long time, but a friend of mine who actually he'll be really annoyed I referenced him on any sort of Celtic related material. But a friend of mine moved over to Michigan, and so we started following the Pistons together. But it was the season before the horrendous uh, the run of defeats. There was like a record run of defeats for the Pistons, it was like the opposite of glory hunting. So it's been painful, but it's good at the moment. Things are good. So
We are here to talk about Celtic, everyone. Do not worry.
you're right.
And we're here to chat through all the latest news and, of course, the match at the weekend as well. Celtic won 2-1 at home to Dundee in the Scottish Cup. Just about, they were behind in that match. A wonder goal from Dundee had Celtic
Mhm.
really snookered for a large section until the debuting boy, Junior Adamu, popped up with a fine back heel effort inspired by Sebastian Tounekti's low cross, who then scored the winner shortly into extra time. A real turnaround in the match from Sebastian Tounekti. I feel like people have been kind of waiting for those kind of match winning contributions from Sebastian Tounekti throughout the season.
Mhm.
He's kind of speaking afterwards. He hopes like this is the start of him now consistently producing more for Celtic. I think it was great to see that moment from Sebastian Tounekti. We're not going to go too deep into the performance. It wasn't a fantastic Celtic performance by any means, but great impact from Tounekti and a fantastic goal for Junior Adamu, who's just immediately endeared himself to the Celtic support.
Oh, huge moment. And I think it's at its core, it's really, really good in-game management from Martin O'Neill. You're getting the best out of a player who can be really, really patchy, but tell them to keep patient, to keep trying to drive to the byline, trying to make these opportunities when he could have maybe rushed it and tried for a shot and could see his name on the back page, etc. But he manages to lay it off to Adamu, and with such a composed finish. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better first goal. The pressure that was on him and the technique to get that sort of that kind of back heel flick into it's just a great moment. And hopefully a really galvanizing moment for Celtic because amidst all the challenges that Celtic have faced under Martin O'Neill's the advantage because you get that performance out of him. You get Celtic winning the last kick of the game with him. I don't think we win that game under Rodgers. I don't think we win that game under. Well, certainly don't win that game under Nancy. I think that's kind of a moot point. Much as I believed in him, and I will stand by that. But yeah,
Mm.
I don't think you get that without Martin O'Neill. And it's I think one of the last times I was on with you, um, I think we talked about Mark Fotheringham and his seemingly positive influence on Tanekti,
Yeah,
and um,
yeah.
it's very clear there's a good relationship there. So I don't think Tanekti's good. He's maybe not the sort of our next kind of all-star Scott Sinclair style kind of winger, but I think he can be really, really useful
Mm-hmm.
when he's got the backing, and he showed that. He showed that on two occasions, and really
And
dug us
listen,
out a couple.
importantly, Martin O'Neill's talked about like he likes his wingers to take on their markers. He likes them to take on defenders one on one, and I think Tanekti has that in his locker. Like undoubtedly, listen, I think the issue with Tanekti at times has been his final ball, but listen,
Mhm.
he dances around the Dundee defender, lays it on a plate for Junior Adamu. Just on Adamu's goal, Ewan, like
Mhm.
it wasn't just the fact that he scored in that moment, literally almost the last kick of the ball, etc. I love the back heel not just because it's aesthetically pleasing as well, but also just because I think it shows a bit of self-assurance and a confidence in a striker that you really want. I think maybe Celtic have lacked that attacking personality in the centre forward position at times, and to see that personality on show in such a crucial moment, to remain composed in that moment and do that, it actually fills me with a lot of hope about what this guy can do in green and white.
It's Gallus, isn't it? It's Gallus.
Yeah,
And
it's Gallus. Yeah.
and that's what we haven't. I mean, maybe since like top form Kyogo, we haven't seen a striker with or a forward with that kind of Gallus. Jota has it in spades when he's available, but yeah, just the invention of that, and just as you say, the confidence to try it on with the importance of that moment as well. And it was, I mean, uh, people hate talking about XG, but if you wanted like the absolutely perfect way to take that shot, it angled in such a way that the keeper's not going to get to it. The surprise of it, the fact he was so close to goal, and there wasn't. I mean, I think the replay shows that like it was on, but also like the invention to do that, I think is excellent. It was a perfect thing to do with the ball at that time. And I know that sounds really really simplistic, but like it was both cheeky and it was also the right decision. So that's really, someone's going to clip that and be like, this guy's daft.
No, but listen, when it's cheeky and correct, I think, no, honestly, I think I did a match report at the weekend, and I think I used the word cheeky. There was a cheekiness to it, and I feel like that was a good thing. And again, I'm just pleased to get through. And listen, everyone, it sets up. This is why it's really important to get through, because it sets up a massive match at Ibrox now. Celtic were drawn away to Rangers in the Scottish Cup. Celtic will visit Ibrox twice in the space of a week. It sets up a massive run of fixtures. I'm going to throw up Celtic's next 8 fixtures here for you, Euan, right? Okay, so we've got those first 4, 3 of them at home. Livingston, Kilmarnock away, Stuttgart at home, Hibernian at home. Then there's 4 away matches in a row here. Travel to Stuttgart, straight to Ibrox, go to Pataudry, the rescheduled match from last week, of course, due to a waterlogged pitch. Then away to Rangers in the Scottish Cup on Saturday or Sunday on the 7th or 8th of March. This is a massive run of 8 games. Those 4 away games in particular, Euan, it's a challenge, but I always say this, people sometimes look at the fixture schedule and they worry about it, they're anxious about it. Like Martin O'Neill will probably be looking at this and thinking, that's a lot of games, that's a lot of big games back to back. I find these runs exciting, Euan, because you find out a lot about your team, you find out what they're capable of, and it's also just a series of big matches. This is a period of the season where I feel like just everything comes alive. I'm not saying I'm going into this and thinking this is 8 wins from 8, but what I'm saying is I'm looking forward to this run. I'm looking forward to see Celtic tested through that kind of run, that fiery run, 4 away games, massive competitions. It's the season's on the line essentially in that run of 4 games. You could argue that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what it's all about. This is we've got a title race in our hands. We've got a big game in Europe. We've got obviously the Scottish Cup at the end there. This is what it's all about. This is exciting. This is just proper, white knuckle. I love these runs where there's just a million games in a row, because I'm not playing for Celtic and therefore I'm not knackered at the end of it. I mean, I am in a sense that I'm watching it and being anxious throughout the whole thing, but like no, it's brilliant. I'm very very pleased that the Hibs game is at home, because Easter Road after a European game always gives me the fear. But I think Martin O'Neill will say this is a lot to take on, but I think there'll be nobody happier with this run of fixtures as well. If he was gonna, people talk a lot about legacy now that Martin O'Neill's back in the dugout, and I think if there's a run of games to cement a legacy, but maybe this is it. I'll bring it on. Bring it on. I'm really, really excited by it. And yeah, I know Stuttgart, we'll talk more about Stuttgart, but I'm all for it. There's not a moment's trepidation for me as far as I'm concerned. I know I have no real, there's not a huge amount of backing to have that kind of confidence, but I just think wins like yesterday are so galvanizing in the sense that like just seconds away from defeat and we managed to get through, and getting through is the only thing that's important. You can talk about performances and there are concerns from the performance, but bring it on. I'm excited.
Hail Paradise saying, morning guys, some run of games we have now, time to step up and show everyone who the biggest club in Scotland is. I mean, again, it's an opportunity to do that. If you're so inclined to assert that kind of dominance, then this is a run of matches to assert that. If Celtic possibly can. Listen, I'm under no illusions here. I didn't think Celtic were very good against Dundee. I think there's massive issues with that Celtic midfield. I think Celtic have to show a lot of improvement to meet the challenges ahead. But let's meet them head on in good cheer. DQ asking an important point here: will we get the proper away allocation at Ibrox per the SFA Cup games? So listen, everyone, just to clear this up. So Celtic and Rangers in recent years, as you know, have negotiated and on and off reduced allocations from time to time. Now, per the Scottish FA rules around the Scottish Cup, Celtic are entitled up to is an important phrase here, up to 20% of the away stadium for these Scottish Cup matches, which theoretically means that Celtic would probably get around 8,000. That's essentially the full Broomloan stand, essentially what you remember as kind of, at this point, an old school away allocation at Ibrox. That is not guaranteed, okay? So there's various negotiations between Celtic and Rangers and Police Scotland as well, importantly. So I think they all have to sign off on an agreed allocation. Now, whether that ends up in dispute between the two clubs, whether Police Scotland, how influential their say is, we do not know yet. For me personally, Euan, I want Celtic to be assertive on this and be on the front foot of this, because I think a bumper away allocation, the full Broomloan stand at Ibrox, would be fantastic to see again. I mean, immediately last night after the cup draw, Celtic's supporter liaison officer posted this picture on Twitter, which makes me think the feeling within Celtic might be that they want that full stand. Whether it turns out like that or not, who knows? I mean, the rules and the guidance is there. I think Celtic should be given a larger allocation than the kind of 2,000 or so that has been negotiated at the moment. I think it would be fantastic for the fixture, fantastic for Celtic fans going along. More importantly, great backing for the team on the pitch in what will be a really difficult game.
I think it's a fairly easy PR win for Celtic here because, the rules are behind the club, and there's every reason for Celtic to pursue the maximum allocation. If they don't succeed in getting that and make an effort of trying, then it's a kind of a gesture of goodwill. And if they do get it, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And that doesn't obviously repair everything, doesn't even start to repair everything. But it's certainly an opportunity for the club. And listen, I mean, it's great. It'd be amazing having a whole Broomloan. I mean, we all remember so many scenes of the Celtic fans going absolutely spare in the Broomloan. I'm just thinking of Alton Edwards winner. I'm thinking of Moussa Dembele there. I'm thinking of so many great games over the years. It's a huge opportunity for the club, and they've got to pursue this with everything they have. And obviously, it gives me a lot of hope that the SLO seems to be leading the charge on that. So I can only hope we didn't have to answer some slightly anxious emails after that. But
no, I mean, I'm sure the club. I mean, I want the Celtic board, I want this leadership at Celtic to be taking the charge on it. I want them to try and assert a healthy allocation between 7,000 and 8,000 people would be fantastic for me. I think it's really important for like the competitiveness of the games. Well, Martin O'Neill will be desperate for a larger allocation. As you say, there were many games over the years that ultimately ended in them kind of taking it away, throwing their toys out the pram in that sense. I'm just wondering what the logistics around it will be. I think that the game's policed slightly differently now than what it was before. They like to get fans in early, etc. I'm not sure how this is all going to play out, but I'm certainly hoping for it, Euan. I'm certainly hoping for it. Because, like, we're talking about this run of fixtures. Rangers, Ibrox, Pittodrie, Ibrox is just a massive week for any Celtic team in any season, but particularly this one. And I think you just want to be going at it full charge as much as possible. Like that's it for me. If it's smaller allocation in the league, that will be that. Pittodrie massive, rearranged. It was felt like a big game last week. It's going to feel like a much bigger game in the context of that run. And I'm hoping that common sense can prevail here. Like, I don't think there's anything particularly to be scared of around this fixture and giving Celtic a bigger allocation for this. So hopefully common sense prevails. Hopefully there's not too much kind of hand-wringing around this, Euan. We need Celtic fans in Ibrox en masse, is my message.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think we need Celtic fans en masse everywhere. That's but that'll make me unpopular again. It has to be. It has to be. And I do think, maybe I'm being overly negative here, but I do have concerns about what the Premiership attendance will be based on the fact that they have to give us 20% for the Scottish Cup. That'll be its own thing. For what it's worth, I would like to see the allocation being what it was. home and away. But no, it's massive, and these games are huge, and you want as many Celtic supporters there as possible. And you know, what's exciting is that like if things do go away, Hearts have a difficult run of fixtures. I mean, we could be talking about Celtic being back at the top of the league by the time we get to Ibrox. That's massive incentive. And what a party atmosphere it would be in at least one end of Ibrox if Celtic can put a really good run together. Yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting. And it's good to know there's that possibility.
Sugarman asking, maybe try to get the Aberdeen game moved. 4 away games in a row is too much for the squad. I don't think that's possible now. I think that's in the books now. I think would be asking for favours there if we're doing that, and I don't think they're likely to be given to Celtic. Unfortunately, I think that was rearranged quickly. It was put in for that week, and that's kind of the cards that Celtic have been dealt here. I think that argument's been and gone. Sugarman. So there we go on that. Just a few bits, Euan. So obviously, since we were last actually on YouTube at all, a few things have happened. So one, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, his signing was confirmed. He has signed at Celtic until the end of the season with the option of a further year should all parties agree to that. Martin O'Neill talked in the build-up to kind of his announcement that he was happy with kind of his motivation and how he's kind of he's happy with his desire and hunger to come to Celtic, and that came across for me in kind of the interviews that he's done already. He did an interview with Celtic TV. Thought he came across really well. He seemed like he was really up for it, and he didn't need much convincing after all to move to Celtic. Martin O'Neill was kind of coy last week. I think Martin O'Neill felt in the back of his mind that there might be a chance that Arsenal pick him up. But Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain speaking, he said Mikel Arteta kind of recommended the move to him. Obviously, a former Rangers player, knows the scene up here, said it would be a fantastic move for him. He mentioned in that interview as well that Andy Robertson, famous Celtic fan, is one of his best friends, obviously from their time together at Liverpool. Again, didn't need much convincing in that sense. I think his family was behind the news as well. I think his dad realises how big a club Celtic is. So there's lots of factors here, and generally just seemed buzzing to kind of be here, get involved. He also said something important for me. He said he wanted to be pushed at this stage of his career. He wanted to be challenged, and that's something that Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney communicated to him. And again, like, you can only take him at his word, and we'll have to see him on the pitch, but good signs for me just in the communication there about what he was saying. He wasn't just, he's not just here for the ride, I don't think, and he was saying he wants to be pushed, he wants to be challenged. That's what he needs at this stage of his career, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you'll be as happy as a Little Mix Celtic supporters club, I'm sure. But like, there's, yeah, I love that he mentioned Sean Maloney a few times. There was, I mean, clearly the communication between him and Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney was really positive. And just to pick up on what you said, yeah, he said, I mean, to paraphrase him, but he seemed excited by the fact that there was a bit of there was doubt as to whether or not Celtic could win this title. And it's not as a sure thing as it has been for so long. And he was excited by that, and he wanted to be part of the. We've already used the phrase "leading the charge," but he wanted to be part of that. That's really exciting to me because I do strongly believe, and this may come back to bite me, but I do strongly believe that if we keep him fit and he's able to, assimilate really well, then he could be one of our best players. And certainly, it's to bring that kind of that standard of quality to the league's a big thing. And yeah, he's had a difficult couple of seasons, but the same is true of so many really, really excellent Celtic players that have come and gone and contributed really massively to the club. So I never thought his mentality was in question, but I really enjoyed that interview that he did. And I'm excited to see him play. I'm excited to see him play for Celtic. I really do rate him. I think he's a very, very high quality player.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you make a good point there. Like, why were people questioning his desire and hunger? I think it's because it's one of these big names from the Premier League, and they kind of go out the picture for a little while in people's head. He was in Turkey for a couple of years, didn't go particularly the way he wanted. I think Martin O'Neill explained last week there was various factors for that. I think managers changed quite a lot during his tenure there, so that was a thing. Again, I think he just came across well. I know DQ is making another point here. Oxlade-Chamberlain's pushing for an option of another year as part of the deal, which says to me has the desire to do well and not just a token 5-month spell. It's kind of an important point. So last week it seemed like at one point, like, I wouldn't say that the move was at risk, but it seemed like there were still negotiations to iron out. It was initially a short-term deal, and I think from the player's side it was putting that option in place to kind of reassess things at the end of the season. So again, I'm happy for that option to be there as well. Not because, I'm not pure like Celtic should be immediately signing this guy up to a longer contract, but mainly because it's like a carrot for him to chase if he really wants to succeed at Celtic, and also give Celtic the chance to kind of commit to him for another season without the risk of him just walking away. I think options are always good in basically any deal that Celtic do, frankly. And just another new signing, Joel Mvuka made his debut at the weekend. Now, there's been a lot of chat about this, and I'm not here to pile on Joel Mvuka at all. Like, I think the coaching staff will be looking at that debut. He got 45 minutes against Dundee. I'm not going to try and sell something that I didn't see with my eyes. I'm not saying he had a fantastic debut, but at all. What I would say is I think the coaching staff will see that as a kind of fitness building exercise almost, and hope for more from him. The one thing I would say about his debut, Euan, is we just need him to take on his marker. We need him to take on players with dribbling or to try and get past his markers, because he just looked tentative to me. And again, that's fully understandable with a debut. I'm not writing him off, etc. But he needs to take on defenders in this league if he wants to be successful, especially at home. There was like opportunities throughout that first half, I felt, for me, where there was like space for him to kind of run at someone with the ball, and he just didn't take it kind of past inwards or kind of past backwards. We need him to be more assertive, more confident. Hopefully that just comes with time, spending more time with Martin O'Neill, Sean Maloney, Mark Fotheringham, etc. And hopefully that comes. I think it's clear he has a wee bit of pace. But yeah, we'll see how Joel Mvuka pans out. This isn't a firm verdict on him. It's just my first impressions, and we'll see where he goes. But hopefully he manages to find that confidence he needs.
Yeah, and that's the rub of the green with the profile player that we've brought in this most recent transfer window. It's great talking about the players who are maybe a little short on game time. Things haven't worked well at their current or previous club, and they've come to us kind of looking to rejuvenate their career. You get two sides of that, and one side is they're really hungry, they want to prove themselves, and they fly out the traps. But also you have to account for players who maybe are a little unsure of themselves based on very real circumstances in their career, and maybe a little bit more patience is required. Which again can, there's two sides of it. I certainly wouldn't want to judge a player by what seemed to be like a fitness check in a cup game that we managed to get through. I don't think anyone, I mean, apart from the goals and the drama of the goals, I don't think people remember that game too far in the future. It's just a case of just getting through it. So it was a little, as you say, tentative, but certainly too early to judge, and didn't quite look 100% fit. We'll wait and see for sure.
I think there's an element of that. I think it genuinely there's a match kind of sharpness element to it. Another positive coming out of the game, perhaps not spoken about as much. Marcelo Sirachi made his return from injury after a couple of months out. Came on for Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney kind of took a sore one to the face, had to be substituted off in the 90th minute. So Marcelo Sirachi ended up getting a full half hour, which was positive. Again, I thought he looked good on that left-hand side. I've been a fan of Marcelo Sirachi, the way he goes about his business. And again, I think he just looks like he's going to be a great rotation option. If he can stay fit, hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone. If he can stay fit between now and the end of the season, I think he can be a great rotation option with Tierney. And actually, depending on the opponent, might even get the nod ahead of Tierney at points. Again, I think Tierney's been okay since he's come back, but Sirachi has something about him as well. I'm pleased with, I think Sirachi and Tierney is a great option, and Julian Araujo, and fingers crossed Alistair Johnston making a return in the next couple of months, but also Colby Donovan there. Actually, the fullback positions are looking okay between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I really like Sirachi. I think Sirachi just oozes composure, and he's got top level experience. I mean, he's played for both Boca and River, which is I find that really inherently funny. But also the fact that he seems calm, he seems composed, and I like what he can do. I would love it if, sorry, I sound like Kevin Keegan. I think it'd be fantastic if we could keep him long term if he was interested in that. I know he might want to be the nailed on starter, and against Kieran Tierney, who, by the way, I thought was excellent the other day. Still counts. Yeah, I thought he would have had an excellent game, and he was in the wars, wasn't he? He took several industrial challenges. But yeah, no, I'd love it. So I'd love it if Sirachi could stay a long time. I think he's a quality player, an international, and a guy who, in a comparatively young back four most of the time. He's got that experience, and he's got a really good passing range as well, which I think goes a little bit under the radar. And when we saw him earlier in the season, that really came to the fore. But yeah, he's a player I like, and it's great seeing him back from injury because that was a real shame.
I'm going to embarrass you here, Euan, with a couple of comments from the live chat. Great to see Euan on again. I like the cut of his jib, talks a lot of sense, along with John. Matt's Halliday saying, Euan, lots of love heart emojis. So there you go. We're going to have Euan on from time to time, folks. We appreciate his input on the channel. He also makes appearances on Celtic AM, Hamish's channel, of course. And he's doing some writing for us along the way as well on Celtic Way. For the next wee while. And listen, if you're wanting different contributors, we've got Tony and Ryan up tomorrow. So plenty ahead. Myself and Hamish will be on the channel as well. So we're trying to mix it up a wee bit. We're looking for more new faces to come on the channel as we go as well. We like to, as Martin O'Neill likes to do, we like to rotate the faces on the channel to everyone. So yeah, Jerry Cameron saying go on Euan. So there we go. Lots of fans in the live chat, Euan.
That's genuinely really nice. Thank you. And have a great week. Thanks.
Euan, I knew I was going to embarrass Euan with that, so apologies for that, Euan. Just before we go, we will, of course, mention there was a boycott at the weekend. It's going to be hard to judge just who was boycotting, who wasn't at the game. Two factors for me. Okay, so last season there were 5:30 kickoffs in the earlier rounds of the Scottish Cup, 2 of them, 5:30 on a Saturday. The official crowds on those days were around the 40,000 mark. I don't think we have an official crowd number yet, unless I've missed it. I did try to look around for it, but we don't quite have it. It looked well short of 40,000 for me, Euan. It looked more in the 20s to 30s. Again, these things are hard to judge. People making their own personal decisions. I know a lot of people will, a lot of people don't like this boycott chat. They don't like any of this. I think what it shows to me is that we do need fans and the team together. And I think, again, as I've said consistently all along, I think the kind of onus is on Celtic to lead that charge. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Euan, that there's been a breakthrough of sorts in the way that Celtic want to handle this, in that they have reached out to various supporters groups over the last few days or so and seem to want to hold some sort of mediation discussions. Brian Wilson talking in those terms. That still has to play out, and we'll have to see confirmation that those talks have taken place. And there's kind of, I don't know how I would characterize it. Probably just like just kind of peace for a bit, and just kind of move forward together for a bit, because there's lots of important challenges ahead. It doesn't mean anything that anyone's concerned about goes away. Again, it's hard to judge just how successful a boycott is, but hopefully, I think the club have taken it seriously, is what I hope. So that's what I'm hoping from this, that the club take it seriously. I don't think you can hand wave it away. I think it was significant enough to be noticeable, and hopefully that now allows kind of constructive discussions to take place.
Yeah, I think it was successful in the sense that, in the sense that the threat of the boycott alone was enough to motivate this statement coming out from Brian Wilson, and you can have your own thoughts about that particular statement, that video. It was an interesting watch. I mean,
I thought that, like, I didn't mind. I know. We were kind of exchanging messages last week. I know, like,
please don't share what I said.
No, I'm not going to share everything you said. What I'm going to say is, like, you took that as the end. Like, that should have come much earlier, I think, was your viewpoint. And I guess my viewpoint was a bit more conciliatory, and, like, I was just pleased to see it happen at all. That's kind of where I am at this. My expectations of the Celtic are quite low, and so anything conciliatory coming out of them this season, based on everything that's gone before, I think is a positive. And actually, I think if Brian Wilson is now the one communicating on this, that's a positive too, because the communication from the Desmonds and at times Michael Nicholson hasn't been enough for me.
No, there are other phrases you could use as a substitute for hasn't been enough. Yeah, he seems. Where you think of Brian Wilson, he does seem like a better communicator at the very, very least. But yeah, I think the point I was making was that the boycott worked because it forced action. The number I've seen quoted in terms of attendance, and again, I would, you'd need to have this verified. I've seen about 24,500, I think was what I saw, and that sends a message, I think. And I think another thing, we kind of maybe laboured this point last time, but there's still this kind of prevailing idea that I've seen, that it was just the Green Brigade and it was just the sort of the young team that were behind this boycott. But
Yeah.
It wasn't, and the collective represents something close to 40,000 fans. I mean, there's like, I mean, we're talking about buses that come from all over the place, and fans that come from Ireland and fans that come from It's really not just a small section. It's not like the tail's not wagging the dog. It's not. This is big. It is a big thing, and again, I think that's why we need to strike. Conciliatory the great word to use, and I'm going to steal that off you. But not just between the club and the fans, but between fans and other fans. I think we need to get past this now. And again, like if people who boycotted and go to the next round of the cup or they go to the next Celtic game, it was a one-game boycott. I think we need to be clear about that because I'm worried about this culture developing where it's just like, oh, so you boycott, so that's you logged out, that's you checked out supporting Celtic or backing Martin O'Neill, and I just don't think that's the case at all. I think that's really the wrong tone to strike. So it'll be interesting what happens, but I think it worked in the sense that it provoked action, and that's what good boycotts do. So.
Yeah, and I get sometimes when I talk about on this channel, I think people sometimes get frustrated for me because they think I'm too middle of the road on all this because I'm fence sitting, but it's generally not that at all. I do think like you can't look at this through the lens of both extremes. I was delighted for everyone at the stadium that they got to witness that moment from Junior Adamu at the weekend. I was delighted for them. I was delighted for that they got to see that Sebastian Tounekti moment as well. At the same time, I think that was a strong message that the supporters who didn't turn up sent. Because again, I think if you look at the attendances of last year for similar matches at the same round, same time, it was 40,000. But what we see around 15,000 have decided not to. That's a significant portion of the match-going Celtic support, which is also a big thing to consider. A lot of the debate around this takes place on the internet, online, on social media, on YouTube channels. But that's 15,000 or so, theoretically, match-going supporters who have decided not to go. And I think, again, that is why Celtic are not ignoring this. And it's a good thing that they're not ignoring this, but they've got a lot to prove. And again, I think the onus is on Celtic to show the leadership here, to bring people together. And hopefully that's what we now see. Because I think it's undeniable, like, if Celtic are going to find success this season, I think you do need some... I think the word unity is maybe a little bit overused in all of this, but like there needs to be some sort of togetherness here that allows everyone to enjoy Celtic without all of this going on around the back, because the team need that backing. And actually, Martin O'Neill said in the build-up to the game that he wants the Green Brigade back in, etc. I mean, this isn't a fringe issue, Euan. This is a pivotal issue for, I think, the direction of Celtic season.
Yeah, and listen, we're not going to win the league if we're getting out. If Celtic Park is getting outsung by Livingston at home and Hibs at home, and it needs to change. It needs to change, and you need everyone who can be back. And to achieve that, you need that communication between the board and the fans. So as I say, I mean, whether you boycott or not, whether you approve of the boycott or not, the reality is that now it's for Celtic's hand, and the discussions have to take place because. Again, like it sounds simplistic, but we don't win this title without everyone, and that can be in there. I don't think.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want more on kind of the issues around the boycott, I did an interview with the Celtic Fans Collective on Friday with Paul Quigley, one of the kind of the person steering the kind of forward direction of the Celtic Fans Collective. He doesn't speak for everyone in the collective, but he was speaking as a representative of the collective on that video. So if you want to find out more about why the build up to all this, I know a lot of people know the reasons, but I think there's a lot of assumptions made sometimes about the collective too. So he put across his own view. And listen, I could have spoken to Paul for hours and maybe could have asked him different questions, etc. Some questions have come up that maybe I should have asked going forward. I'm going to try and get the Fans Collective back on the channel, everyone. So if there's anything you'd really want to ask or put to them, then I will try and do that. It wasn't a case of just having them on for them to promote themselves. I did want to ask them questions. I did ask about the Dermot Desmond issue, which for me personally, I think is a big one in terms of like, why is he not a focus of all this? Because I've said consistently on this channel for quite a while that I think he is the ball game at Celtic. So there's lots of stuff going on. So if you want to find out more about the boycott and the collective, etc., that video is up on the channel at the moment. We're coming towards the end of the show here, Euan. Just any kind of final thoughts? I don't think you're going to be back on the channel until next week. So, like, there's big games ahead, as we're saying, and they come thick and fast. I mean, immediately, Livingston on Wednesday. I mean, that feels to me, Ewan, like it might be another stodgy match. It might be a bit like the Dundee game at the weekend. Celtic will have to find a way to win, but like another point about these matches, Ewan, is that they're all must-win games. Like, you can't drop any points in the Premiership. Stuttgart's a bit, there's an element of pressure off there, but also Celtic still searching for that first European knockout win in decades. Then you've got the Rangers games themselves. Like, that Livingston game itself, it's a must-win game, and that's the stakes involved here.
It's huge. It's huge. But I guess the fortunate part is that we're meeting Livy and Killy when they're in dreadful form. So, absolutely must win, no excuses type games. It'd be a really interesting test for Marvin Bartley in the Livy dugout.
What do you make of that, Euan? That's a strange. Like, I'm not sure if strange is the right word, but I was surprised by that, because obviously David Martindale's been such a key figure as their manager for a number of years, and kind of staying at the club but moving into a different role. I know he was doing a lot of that kind of almost director of football kind of work already when he was the manager. I guess it's a reflection that their season isn't going particularly well, but they want to keep David Martindale involved at the club. Marvin Bartley's also, obviously been involved at Livingston a lot as well. But I was a bit surprised by that change.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I've got to be honest. I did think even if Livy got relegated, that they would stick with Martindale, who, by all accounts is beloved there. It definitely doesn't. I mean, if there was a situation in which he left, it doesn't surprise me to see that he's he's still in the building, so to speak. But it's a big opportunity for Marvin Bartley. I think there is a potentially really decent manager there. But it's a heck of a job for him. Livy haven't got a particularly deep squad, and things don't look good for them. They really don't. But that's the Celtic's advantage on Wednesday, and then after that we can talk about Livy as much as we want. But yeah, I mean it's
hopefully Marvin Bartley's putting that one down as a learning experience, as they say, Euan, for him on Wednesday night. That would be preferable than a jolt in the arm for Livingston. Listen, I think as a game Celtic should and will win, frankly, but again, it might not be like smooth sailing, everyone. It might be one of those ones where it's a second half 1-0 win. I think these are the kind of nervy moments we're in for over this next kind of couple of months. So everyone better prepare themselves and get an iron stomach for that, is what I would say, Euan.
Well, as long as we marked our left back this time, that would be an improvement. Because clearly he's got an absolute, he's got a shot on him. So I had to censor myself there quickly. He's got a real shot on him. So he's, hopefully he gets at least one person marking him. And then we might be able to win that game a bit more comfortably than last time. But it's if they're, if some of the new players want to really make their mark, then this is a really good chance to do it. So here's hoping.
Okay, everyone, we're going to leave it there. On the website today, we've got analysis of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain from Stuart Ross, the analyst who looks into data, scouting, all sorts of stuff. So you'll get the full lowdown on where Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is at this stage of his career after that Besiktas spell, if you haven't been aware of what he's been up to. So look out for that on the site as soon as possible. Hope everyone has a fantastic Monday. As I say, Tony and Ryan back tomorrow. So if you're looking forward to them, then that's when they'll be on the channel. Usually them on a Monday, but I had to change it around today. And we appreciate everyone in the live chat as always. Appreciate everyone in the comments. Let us know what you think of today's show and the issues discussed, what you think of Junior Adamu, what you think of Joel Mvuka, what you think of everything, frankly. What you think of this run of fixtures, what you think of the away allocation, what should Celtic be doing to ensure that they get a big allocation for Ibrox. All sorts of stuff on the go as always. The season marches on. I thank you, Euan, on the show as well. And we'll see everyone again next time on this.